Hi, welcome to Paper Route Scrapbooking. I'm Nadine, and today we are going to talk about a challenge prompt from the SG Scrap Squad to create a letter out of triangles. Okay, so the challenge was to create a letter out of triangles. Now, to do this, I realized that it needed to be something that looked kind of pixelated, right? So I had to figure out how many squares and triangles I would need. So each one of these, so I printed off, and I just used a piece of paper that I'd already used before, and I printed off a 1-inch grid. I just Googled it and found a PDF and printed it off. So each one of these squares is 1 inch. So then I was like, well, I'll make my letter with 1-inch squares as well, and cut those in half to make triangles. So the first thing I did was sketch out what I wanted my letter to look like. And so I thought this would be easy, and it was not as easy as I thought. So I made it a 0, like on a clock, and then I wanted to make a letter Q for Quentin. And so I kind of figured out a way to make that Q shape, and then realized I had too much up here, so I crossed it out. So this was kind of where I was going with that part. And I grabbed a 6x6 paper pad because I thought if I'm just using 1-inch squares, I don't need full sheets of paper. So I'm going to use this Oliver paper pad again from Basic Gray. And I grabbed a full sheet off of my faux solid rack that is an old Heidi Swapp wood grain paper, and it is called Wallpaper, and it is from 2008. So I pulled that off the rack. It does look like grandma's wallpaper on the back, but this side was just a nice gray wood grain. And then I still had this sketch in mind from Jennifer Edwardson that we worked on Sunday. And so I thought, well, that will work for this too, because instead of the circles up here, I can put his letter Q. I can run some photos along the bottom, and then I can use some washi tape to kind of finish off the layout. So that is what I did. I used the washi tape top and bottom, and then I created my letter based on my drawing or my grid, and I changed it up a little bit. I decided I didn't want the one in here, but I added one on a little tail over here. So all I did was to make this letter was to cut a bunch of 1-inch squares and then slice them in half diagonally. And I chose 3 different patterns, and then I went, and then I just followed the grid pattern that I had laid out for myself, but I decided to make it a little bigger than what I had drawn. So I drew 2 across the bottom, and I ended up putting 3, which meant that if I was going to put 3 here, I needed to extend this to be taller. So there were 3 here, and I put 4 here. So I just made it a little bit bigger to fill up the space. And that was it. I just alternated the 3 patterns as I went around, and I think this is my starting point here, and yeah, it worked out to not match up the same color at the end. Okay, so the story that this inspired was to tell the story of when we send text messages back and forth about Quentin, we quite often don't use his name. Like we don't type out Quentin just to make like the texting shorter and faster. And I know his parents do this too, and we just type Q. So I wrote that little story in this. It says, when we send texts back and forth about Quentin, we often use the first letter of his name to save time and message each other more quickly. And so I've picked some just random photos. I'm working on his first year album still, and I'm you know, around the month of April. So I picked some random photos, and I think I've mentioned before that when I decided to do his album, I decided to print literally every photo that his mom sent me, and she sent me at least one photo a day. So some of them don't have like a big story to tell. So I took a few that were just like everyday kind of things, and I decided to put those, and then I have these little stickies on the back of each page saying what the date was and what our text message was about. So then I typed those up, and I'm just gonna, I left them on here so that I knew which ones went with which photo. And I'm gonna just tack them down and toss out my sticky notes. So this one says, Q is trying so hard to walk, April 9th, 2019. This one says, picked a date for Q's birthday party, April 3rd, 2019. The party wasn't April 3rd, that was when the text was sent. The party was in May. His birthday's May, later in May. April 18th, getting ready for playgroup. And April 13th, Q is cuddled up by himself on the couch watching Trolls before bed. So this is kind of how our texts go. They're just like little, you know, some of them were big, important things, like his firsts of things, stories worth making a page about. But some of them are just these little things. And so I've struggled with trying to figure out what my favorite way to do that is. And so this was a good way to get some of those little texts on there without and tell a, you know, combined story of all of them. So my title for this page is just going to be a little monkey, because he is a little monkey, and that was one of the die cuts from this basic gray die cut pack. And I think I'm going to pop it up on some fun foam. And I don't know what this stuff is really called. I should look. Adhesive foam, probably. It's just the stuff that you get from Michael's in like the teacher section. And one side is sticky and the other side is not. But I like the reason I use it is A, I like the thickness of it, and B, I like that if I'm putting it on like a whole photo, I don't have to put strips or dots. I can just cut a 4x6 piece and put it on the back of the photo. It just saves time. Okay, so then I thought, because we were talking text messaging, that these little wood veneer pieces would be cute. So I think I'll put one up here by the monkey, and I took out my basic gray alphas and picked a few letter Q's that go with my papers. I picked up a kind of a sleeve of basic gray alphas at a garage sale that are just, they were barely used. So maybe I'll use the white one there. And I'm just going to stick one Q on each little speech bubble. I don't know where these speech bubble wood veneers are from. I got a whole huge haul of wood veneer. I'll show you. From a lady on Facebook Marketplace for 20 bucks. So that's where those were from. So I don't know where, like what manufacturer they would be from. They are just super cute and go with my theme. I'm a pretty themey kind of scrapper. So now I didn't put those on until I knew where I wanted them on the page, because I wanted the tails of them to point in towards the layout. Anytime I have like an arrow or something, I really want it to not point off the page, because that takes your attention away from the story and the photos, the layout. So there we go, there's one. Now I I think I've mentioned this before. I did happen to find this little remnants of this collection online, and I will link that below. But it's a very old collection, and as you know, Basic Grey is out of business, has been for a while. So, but I did love their stuff. Okay, so there's my 3 wood veneer pieces, and I am going to also put on, I think I brought this out too to just kind of have a peek through and see if I wanted to add something else wood veneer. And I might use some of these little, I have these little like heart thingies that have messages on them, kind of like those candy hearts from Valentine's Day. Maybe I'll use some of those. Awesome is good. Miss you is good, because I definitely miss him. That's another one that says awesome. You rock. There we go. 3 little hearts. We'll put those on as well. Those are super cute. So I did have a bit of wood veneer before I bought that case full of wood veneer, and some of it I added in there, and some of what was in there I took out. Like if it was winter, like at the snowflakes, I took out and I put somewhere else, like I put with my winter stuff. And there was some Christmas stuff in there I took out and put with my Christmas stuff, just because that's how when I go to create a page, that's how my brain works, and so that's how I organize my things. And these ones are more like this box that I just showed you is more of my generic, you know, hearts, stars, circles, arrows, speech bubbles, etc. Okay, so I thought maybe some of these are adhesive pearls from Craft Consortium, and this is the circle or circus ones. They look very Americana, but I use red, white, and blue a lot for boy scrapbooking, so I will often buy Americana stuff, not necessarily like American flag papers and such, but like stars and that sort of thing that are those colors. I will, because I think that I use those colors enough to make it, you know, to make it make sense to use them. So I'm just going to put one little star with each heart on the page to add a little bit of interest, something different, a little bit of sparkle. I think I'm going to move this one to the other side because I like to fuss with things. Okay, that's not doing what I want. So that's good. And then I have these enamel dots from Close to My Heart. And they are from, I think I used these in another video. They're from the In This Together collection, and they are still available on the website, so I will link that below as well. And I will put one of each size, because I like to do things in 3s, in each little cluster. So I don't know if I've talked about how I decide to cluster, but I usually either go in a diagonal design format, or I go in like on this one, I choose 3 spots that I want to put embellishment on, because that gives you like a triangle and draws your eye around the page. Now I would have normally wanted something under the photos because I would want to draw your eyes down here, but I feel like that the words do that for you, and I feel like once you get back here, you're automatically going to look and see what the photos are about. So, and I didn't want to put, even though this liquid glue is photo safe, I don't like to put it on my photos. That's just a personal preference, I suppose. So I love these navy ones. They are my fave, and they'll probably disappear really fast. I will use them up quickly, and they are the reason actually that I bought this whole pack of like all these different colors, was because I wanted the navy ones. Navy's a hard color to find in scrapbooking, I found. Okay, so that is my layout for today. Thank you for hanging out with me. If you would like to know more about the things that we talked about, please click the Show More button under the video description below to find the links. If you have any questions or comments, I love hearing from you. It would be much appreciated, of course, if you would click that like button and give me a thumbs up. And if you would like to see more videos here at Paper Route Scrapbooking, please click the subscribe button and be sure to hit that notification bell to be notified when a new video goes up. Thanks for watching.